Vishesh exhibition, dynamic panel discussion with renowned artists where we discuss art in interiors and lawn. Firstly, let me introduce our panel of architects present this evening. Architect Bhavna Chetan is a gold medalist from Ellis Raheja School of Architecture, Mumbai. Bhavna has executed almost 400 residential and commercial interior projects, India and abroad. Bhavna has been featured in almost every interior magazine in the country over the years. Welcome, Bhavna ma'am. Next, we have is architect Seema Puri, who is an alumni of Rachna Sansat Academy of Architecture, Mumbai, and co-founder of Cesar Architects. She has executed a diverse range of projects from residential, commercial, retail architecture to interiors, and has also received several awards and accolades. Seema ma'am is as proficient as an architect as she is known for her refined aesthetic sense in styling interiors. She continues to strive towards creating exemplary architectures both in India and abroad. Welcome, Seema. Our next panelist, architect Santa God, is an alumni of Sir J.J. College of Architecture. Santa is a co-founder of Planet 3 Studios Architecture Private Limited, an infinity design studio with Savant Hall. The studios are recognized for their work through several prestigious international and national awards and are currently working on prestigious projects like the International Cruise Terminal in Mumbai, the first of its kind in the country. She is also known for designing celebrity residences for the likes of Mr. Amitabh Bachchan and Mr. Rajkumar. Welcome, Santa. Our moderator for this evening is Savita Hira, a design journalist and gallerist for almost 3 decades, and she is the founder and editor of IndiaArtandDesign.com, an e-magazine on art, design, and architecture, and heads gallery production, India's smallest gallery of quality fine art, straddling both fields with aplomb. Savita ma'am, I would like to invite you to please take the event forward from the pulpit.
Thank you, Shruti. That was a big introduction. A very good evening to everyone. Thank you so much for all of you coming in on time, and we have quite a big audience. As Shruti was saying, this is our first event in a month-long series of activities that we have planned because we are commemorating the 25th year of our student special exhibition. This has been a signature event at our gallery, wherein students from far and wide have always come in, always introduced a fresh perspective in art, and the layperson has been introduced to original art at an affordable price. We have a lot of architects who have been waiting for this exhibition year after year because they've encouraged our student artists. So this is the highlight, and today's panel discussion is the first in a series of activities that we're going to hold every Wednesday and Friday. So coming back to today's discussion on art and interiors, we have these 3 stalwarts with us, and I would like to, first, of course, with Bhavna and Seema, we go a long way back. And my first question would be to you, Bhavna, as one of our oldest patrons. Can you just give us a small background on how fine art contributes to the makeup of an interior space?
Okay, for me personally, a house or an interior without art is meaningless. Personally speaking, I think it adds all the character. You may decorate in all kinds of paneling and marble and this and that, but art simply speaks to you in a way no other language can. And I was speaking to you, art can come in so many ways, so many forms, but for me, it is a very important element. So when a client tells me like, I don't understand art and don't give it to me, so I, get a very sinking feeling. And then, we work with motifs or some other kind of art in interiors where we are trying to create something which is actually should be done by an artist, so I think it adds a lot to a space. It is very important, because for me, if I get a play with art, I use that for my colors instead of I follow the art, hopefully, I will not dress up, I will not throw the color in until I know my piece, preferably. So it plays a very big role.
So, Seema, what would you add to this, especially where the arrangement of art goes? Because I have seen the way you work with even just a square piece or something, and the way you make an arrangement that it totally enhances the interior, totally breathes life into a common space. Can you throw some light on that? You will have to unmute. We can't hear you.
Yeah, hi. So if you talk about architecture, whether it's architecture on the outside or it's interior architecture, I think the word itself is art and structure. So honestly, I feel it has a complete symbiosis. You can't do one without the other. There a space comes to life once we actually enhance it. And besides coming to life, I think it also adds a very personal touch for any home, for any office, for pretty much any space, whether it's a lobby, whether it's like, it's a large format, residence, villas, any kind of space, the personalization and actually the enhancement of a place is only, I feel, it only comes through art. And art adds the color, it adds, a certain amount of life. It, of course, it depends upon the kind of natural light which is coming into the space. Depending upon that, you could play with the whole composition of art. It could either be, if it's a very, very large wall, you may want to use one very large format, or you may want to break it up into, smaller and bigger, like make an arrangement or a collection of different artists, and that could be your forte. So, I mean, it can be literally utilized in any form, and it doesn't actually have to restrict itself only to the walls. I think even the smaller sculptures which form such an integral part of all our center tables and side tables, I mean, that really adds to it, because, without that particular piece, there's actually, there's absolutely no personalization or no detail which you really notice in an interior or in a space, frankly. So it's
I agree. Yeah. So like when you speak of details, of course, as designers, you all do a lot of work where detail is concerned, but where the common man is concerned, his idea of detail comes in through the pieces of art. So yes. Moving on to Santa, do you also use a lot of art in your interiors?
Yes, we do. And hello everyone. So yes, of course, art, I think, is the soul of any place, whether it's a commercial building, it's a residential building, it's a lobby. Just take away the art and you'll realize how barren it looks. So I think it's the backbone. It gives life to any place. It's quite the essence. It's, as I said, it's the soul of any project. We do use a lot of art. Sometimes we use a lot of art from well-known artists, and sometimes it is from not so well-known artists, but then it just goes so very well with the space as such. It enhances the language that you're trying to create in your interior space, and the right kind of art in an interior space will enhance that language. So yes, the right kind of art can be sourced even from the street or even from the best of the galleries. I'm definitely a big advocate for that.
Lovely. So you opened up the Pandora's box straight in, you dug straight in, because that was my next contention. What exactly do you all prefer? Whether is there a marked preference for new talent, or would you rather, surpass that and go in for established ones? Or do you kind of develop favorites along the way? I'm throwing the question open to all the three of you. Whoever would like to take it up first.
I think it really depends upon the space, right?
Really, actually.
Yeah, it depends upon the space. It also depends, it's actually quite contextual. I'm thinking that we did this home in Mathura. Mathura is the place of, the birth of Lord Krishna. That's where it is. And coincidentally, the client we had there was also, very deeply religious. So we used a lot of art, which is, we use Pichwai, we use Pattachitra, we even got this Kamdhenu painted from an artist, as Savita knows because she got it done. So I'm just saying that it was very contextual because that was Mathura. But now you take, another instance where we had a very young client and we did a very interesting home for him and we use a lot of pop art. In fact, in his bedroom, instead of using a vinyl, we actually got a very young artist to paint across the entire wall. So what I'm saying is it completely depends upon the space. It is the context of the space which will actually dictate the kind of art you want. You're not going to have a prefixed notion that, yes, I want to definitely use, the masters. Of course, there are clients who will say that, okay, maybe in the living room in this particular spot, I'd like to, showcase something like this, or maybe in the entrance lobby. But I think, like I said, it's definitely dictated by the space and by the arrangement of the furniture, by the arrangement of the entire spaces in the home or in the office. That's what really dictates the art. I don't think any of us go with very preconceived notions of how we would like to, proceed. It's a space which actually gives us all these ideas and throws open all the options that we would like to use.
I also think it's the space. Completely agree with Seema on that. Also, the art, when we see it, it kind of appeals to you. So you know that this art is very specific for this client or this space. It has to speak to you to know that this is the right material, the art, the sculpture, whatever, or the curio, whatever you have gathered. So it's actually a amalgamation of both of them, getting the language of the interiors right and getting the art which appeals to you. And yes, not necessarily a big person who goes only towards the masters. I would really like to source, the youngsters or source good art from somebody who's up and coming.
I agree with both of you all on the aspect that after all, it is the vibe of the piece and the vibe of your space. And but a big, thing that we are missing out is budget. So maybe we talk about. So there are, but few and far between. There are clients who will invest in pieces. Not everybody does. And at the same time, we do sometimes have to convince people because some people don't understand, they don't mind spending like X number of lakhs on some marble, but they need to be explained about how important a piece is. And if they did spend a lakh to, 3 or 4 lakhs or plus, it's worth it. So I think budget is really important for us. And it doesn't really matter, Savita, please give us upcoming artists who will work in our budget. And you do that. And you've helped out so many times. So I think what you're doing for the kids is spectacular. I mean, students, I have come to you at a time when even I was just so upcoming, and these pieces helped so much. They added so much. So I think, it's great that, you're giving this boost to upcoming talent. And I think cheers to that, yeah.
Thank you, Bhavna. Your support has also been there throughout. There have been instances when you've commissioned these young students and they've done brilliantly. So yes, it's only with each other's support that we can kind of help them. The students also have to learn that, they kind of need to deliver as per expectations. That becomes a two-way traffic then. So tell me again, when you spoke of, how you need to convince your client sometimes that it's worth it. Of course, budget is always an issue and a big issue. So how do you people generally go about convincing your client? Do you educate somebody who's not educated already, or do you factor in the art at the beginning of your budget? How do you all take it forward?
For me, I've always factored in art right at the very beginning. I've learned long back that honestly, there's no place which can do without art. So right in the beginning, we always have a budget that this is the budget that we allocate for art. It of course depends upon the size of the project, on the particular client. There are some clients who would allocate a very large budget towards art. And there are some who would not understand, who would have to be educated, but they are educated right in the beginning. So, even when we are showing them sketches or 3Ds or what we are doing, we have already thought of the art and we have some art in that place, so we know that, okay, this is going to be there, because I feel that if you incorporate it right in the beginning and you keep telling them that, listen, while you're spending maybe 3,000 rupees a square foot on your Italian marble, which we may be cladding everywhere, you have to remember that at the end of the day, the art is going to speak a lot more than necessarily the expense of your marble. So yes, everything plays a very important role, but it's the colors and the nuances which art brings in, which actually cannot really be explained. So yes, we have started factoring it right in the beginning, and it's I find now very few clients who don't really understand the need to do it. They may do it at a limited budget. Everyone is comfortable in whatever budgets they are, but they've all understood that you can't really complete a space without a certain number of pieces, whether it's sculpture, art, table, wall, whatever. That is, I think it's I don't even think we understand people who are not going to accept it. That's just made very clear right at the beginning here.
So even we incorporate a budget for art, even some good carpets, which people in Bombay are not used to, but I myself love good carpets. So I budget all that right in the beginning. But you know what, Savita, the challenge is nowadays not convincing people about art. I think everybody is quite aware, well-traveled. They are open to buying art. The challenge is towards making them buy the right kind of art, which enhances the look of the project, because sometimes they come up with something which is just not on terms with your interiors. And there, when you have to channelize that, ye nahi theek hai, you have to go this way. That's the biggest challenge.
I agree. I've seen such instances.
Yes.
And especially because you people do residences, and residential interior is very, very subjective. It has
Yes.
to resonate with each member of the family, because they finally have to live with it.
Yes.
And that is where the challenge, kind of really arises. I was at this one particular project recently where they were looking at, one member of the family was looking at even a few lakhs as an extremely big budget that I was talking about. Whereas another member of the family goes ahead and says that he has spent several lakhs more on a print because it was from an international artist. So, between two people in the same house, there is such a lot of diversity. There's so much different thought, and probably not always his thoughts are communicated between them. So then that really puts the designer into a spot. It puts the gallerist into a spot. This thing keeps happening.
Yes.
Bhavna, I think you had something to show us, right? You were talking about alternate ways in which you can give a client art, not necessarily
Yes.
a painting or a sculpture.
Yeah.
I think
So-
Bhavna has something to share with us.
A lot of photographs. Should I begin that? Should I
Just show us a glimpse, please.
Okay.
Do.
So can I share screen?
Yeah, I think you can. Just a second. Can we have the kindly give Bhavna a sharing screen?
Yeah, we are seeing it.
Yeah, we can
You're seeing it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically what I tried to do is, can you hear me as well?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah. So what, everywhere it's not necessary a painting has to work, although we have pictures of that too. But how the photography, art that we have purchased off the net, figure out who is the photographer, who's the artist, get an image and, show it boldly. And different kinds of way we have done art in different kind of spaces. So just a short, mix of ideas, things like that. Some of these images have been worked upon, and a photograph has been digitally changed to something else. So a lot of, different ways, somewhere it's like pop art, and outdoors, art there too. You need it everywhere. So this I remember we've taken it from a American photographer during the lockdown, and my client negotiated with him too, and especially in being the lockdown, poor fellow came down a lot in dollars, but yes, he spent that amount. And some of them are C4X artists, and again, this is a image purchased from a photographer. And how, the gold of the eye has decided the gold of the counter, or vice versa. So the art is the hero in these pictures, and for me it is, some of them are off the net, some really, this is actually a cheap Shutterstock image. I didn't go through zillion images to get this. I would rather have used an original, but now this client has really spent a lot of money on his art. The art costs way more than the interiors, which is lovely. And how, his art, my interiors followed the colors of his art. We've gone backwards. But some people who really have that kind of collection. And that's art at my house. That's it.
Very nice pieces, Bhavna. Sorry.
Yeah, really nice.
Really very nice. Really enjoyed seeing them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So as Bhavna said, art is definitely the hero. It's unchallenged,
Heroine.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
Heroine of the show.
Whatever we call it. Anyways, so do you all have anything to say about a particular trend? Do you see a trend that clients kind of go more for contemporary, or they kind of go for the mix of tribal and traditional art? Do you see any trend where the clients are concerned? Like when you're talking to them, is it something that is totally controlled by you, or they have, especially the ones who know a lot about art, do they have something in mind which is very, very definitive and characteristic? Seema, would you take that up?
Yeah, so, I think a lot of clients know about art, and those clients who know a lot about art know the artist also, which they may be looking for. And I would say typically those clients know that, we want certain names and we want certain kind of, certain kind of imagery. But I've noticed that the trend amongst all of this is they're obviously going with the art which is available, right? So in fact, I've noticed different trends amongst different clients. So some of our very young clients are, they're very clued into whatever is totally contemporary and what is, totally literally cutting edge. They don't even want to, restrict it to that it has to be, necessarily an oil. It could be any medium, and actually it could be expressed in almost any manner, because today you're getting art, you're having so much of paper art which is available, which is also, I think, folded paper art, so all of that. So what I'm saying is it kind of goes across so many genres of art And the clients who know have already kind of done their research. A lot of them have now even started sending us that we like this. What do you think? And then of course, then there is an amalgamation, you know, like for instance, this one piece by Rathin Burman, which we used in an office. Now it was actually a concrete base on which there is like this metal work, which is very interesting, you know, it's like a 3D sculpture, which is kind of placed on a concrete panel. So I'm saying that this is something which, you know, when I saw this art in the art show, I loved it. And I was thinking in my mind, like, you know, would I really find somebody who would like this? And it was so refreshing when for this particular office job, we found this client who really, you know, appreciated all these interesting pieces. So I think the trend depends upon the age group, the kind of person, and of course, the kind of space, and also your leanings as to how you can, I think, convince them into, you know, what would be the best product or the best piece for that particular place. So in fact, I could share some of the images just to kind of, you know, explain this if we have the time, but I don't think so. It's 37.
No, I think we
That's
can
fine.
take a minute. We can take a minute,
Yeah.
Seema. Go ahead and say.
Okay, so they are just basically literally like, you know, 4 or 5 images just to show something. So can you see this?
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
We can.
Yes, we can see.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, this is now
See.
for a very young client, and you see that there is art in different formats. You know, you have sculptures on the wall which are backlit. Then you also have, you know, something which is literally like unframed and gray on gray, very industrial sheet. So, you know, very different. And this, of course, is almost like a little bit of like an art gallery where you have art in terms of like this piece, which is like a sculpture. You have, you know, ceramic art from Chitravanu. You have again now this pop art out here. So, like I'm saying, it's really very different. This is like I explained that, you know, one of the homes we've done where we've actually got this whole abstract art created across the entire wall, almost to look like vinyl. Sorry?
स्वतः मुठीवर येते बाहेर सावधान आहे.
Can we please have
And of course, this is another image which just, you know, shows you again a completely different kind of, you know, piece from what you've seen. That was all very, you know, very, very abstract. And this just shows that there's a lot of wood and there's that one large focus piece which kind of looks totally different. This again is for an office where we've used, you know, Parul Gupta, very different kind of art. It's just like black and, you know, a hint of gold. And it's almost like, you know, some pieces are missing. So again, it gives you a very different look, feel, vibe. And this actually is the main part of, I think, our entire discussion, whereas this is an image taken of that space without the art. And this is an image taken of the space once the art comes into play. So I think that kind of, you know, sums up our entire discussion that how important really art is.
Really
true,
lovely.
true. Very nice.
Very true.
I think with that photograph, she has really summed up our entire discussion for us.
Okay.
Thank you, Seema. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Such a pleasure to have you all here. I hope that the little banter that we have had about art, I'm sure was not new to any of us, but I hope it has added some value to the students who are listening in for the first time. They are aspiring artists of tomorrow. And we have our best wishes with them. I would urge you to take a look at the exhibition this time. There are sculptures too, and there is a little bit of everything. There's figurative as well as non-figurative. There's abstract art. And I would like to share something important on this platform, which is one of the students who's exhibiting with us. He's a landscape artist, has just been awarded a 1-month scholarship at the Florence School of Art, which is given to just one student worldwide. So it's really nice. Congratulations, Akash Khitawar. He's the boy from JK Academy, and he has been awarded this scholarship in Florence. Thank you so much once again, all of you. We take your leave. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Do
much.
take a look
I
at
have
our
a-
exhibition.
I have a question. Is it possible to
Yes,
ask a
please.
question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So this is to all the speakers. I'm actually an artist. My name is Deval Ambani. What I would like to understand is how does one reach out to interior designers and